You know what? The funny thing is no one really talks about CrossFit.
Okay.
You know, like,
I think people are scared of it.
Well, they are, but I'm very prolific. I let people know I'm big into CrossFit. I love CrossFit, you know, and it changed when I discovered it in 2007, and I already been in the fitness industry for over a decade at that point. Like, it just completely gave me a paradigm shift in how to train, how to get results, but also what was possible with.
All right, let's talk about it then, because I'm super interested in it. Okay. Let me grease the wheel a little bit. I'll tell you a little bit of my fitness story, and I want you to tell me, Brian, why the hell are you not doing CrossFit? Okay. So I'm 44 now.
Yeah.
When I was about 29, I was about 240 pounds. I'm 6'2". That's too heavy for me. I should be a little under 200, right? And I noticed it. And my little moment, like that you had when you're in your teens, was that I'm driving. I used to work for the Boy Scouts. I had to do a lot of driving in between counties and meet with volunteers and stuff. I'm driving, I'm hitting bumps. I can feel my belly. Oh, yeah. And it was the first time I ever felt that. And I'm like, that's not good. I don't like that. And all of a sudden I'm more self-conscious. I can feel, things jiggling back here and stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to do something about it. I didn't know what I was going to do something about it, similar to your journey. And then what I like my buddy, Chris, who I was talking about before, who we're not too close anymore. He had just recently started this. And it's funny because at night we always talk to each other and we played video games and stuff. And I'm sitting there eating like 12 tacos from Taco Bell in my basement in front of the TV. And I'm talking to him and he's like, hey man, I got to go do something. I'm like, what? This is what we do. What do you mean you got to go do something? He's like, yeah, I'm trying to get back into shape. I just bought this program and I'm going to go do it. And I'm like, really? Cause I'm just having this moment, going on in my mind. I'm like, what is it? He's like, it's called P90X. I'm like, what the heck is that?
Tony Horton.
It sounds weird. And he's like, no, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's these CDs. I pop them in and it's nuts. And I feel like I'm going to die. And like, I'm not trying to de-edify Chris here, but he wasn't really all that athletic of a dude. Good basketball player, athletic, but body type, not necessarily.
Right.
And I'm like, I'll give it a shot.
Nice.
I'll do it. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, because like Skype was just getting big, back then. I'm like, I'll pop out my laptop. Let's get into a Skype meeting, put the laptop camera in front of the TV. I'll do it with you. So I moved stuff out of my way in the basement. Nice. And it was all push-ups and pull-ups and like 90 minutes of it. And I got done with half of it, 45 minutes. I'm upstairs hugging my toilet because I thought I was going to puke. And I never puked from workouts or anything. And I'm down there. I'm like, sucks, but that was awesome. I'm going to totally keep doing this. And every day, I said, okay, tomorrow we're getting up at 5:30. You got to get up early. We're going to do this. Turn your Skype on. Every day we do it. I set up my garage to start doing it.
So awesome.
And because when I find something that kicks my butt, I'm like, that's going to work.
Yeah.
And so we start every morning, 5:30 in the morning. And it's like he started getting busy because he was building a business and he would just put his laptop on, pop the CDs in the TV and put it in front of it. And he would go off, get ready for a shower and leave. Wow. And I would be the one doing it. Before I know it, maybe every once in a while he was there. But if he'd forget, I'm like, Chris, you better turn that on. Because I didn't have the CDs. Eventually he just gave me the CDs.
Nice.
And I probably went through that 90-day program 6 or 7 times over and over and over. I just had it memorized. It got to a point where before he gave me the CDs, I just knew what the workouts were going to be doing every day. And I had them written down in a notebook and I would just do them. And I got medium, I got strength and I got endurance results, but I didn't get the look results because I didn't change the food. I wasn't doing any of the diet things. The diet stuff started to happen. But anyway, I got in really good shape, had kids, that changed. I'm in a little bit better shape now. But I've always, and that was a little bit before CrossFit got big, like high intensity interval training was getting big around that time. And then, then CrossFit starts coming up and I see crazy people flipping tires and doing wacky one-handed pull-ups and just getting after it. I'm like, that looks really cool, but I don't have time for that. And before you know it, it goes by. And I've never built a buddy of mine. I think he still does it here locally. So like, how do you get into it? It's intimidating because you got the people in there doing it and I'm going to be the dude that shows up and I can keep up with that,
And, I get exactly what you're saying, because I always sort of acknowledge this when so I do a lot of foundations classes because I love it. So I do still coach in CrossFit.
Yeah.
And so the foundations type programs is usually just a soft introduction to introduce you to the principles and the movements.
For the soft people like me.
Well, it's not so much soft. When I say soft, it's less intimidating because you get that one-on-one hand holding as you get ready.
Yeah.
So I usually recommend start with a foundational type program, get some one-on-ones just so you break the ice. But you have to understand it's functional movements and they are done at high intensity. And it's constantly varying. And that's really the core definition of CrossFit. But it draws on so many different disciplines. Yeah, we have Olympic weightlifting. Yeah, we have track and gymnastic type elements. Like these three pieces all play together to form these variety of different workouts. But the crazy thing is that you're using so many more muscle groups than most of us are ever used to using. And what I mean by that is I was a gym guy. So I did a lot of the big muscle groups all the time. And every once in a while I did the little accessory stuff. But the main thing was like bench press, squat, deadlifts, like just the very traditional. And it also can get really quite boring, doing the same thing day in, day out for a fixed routine. And so I was kind of hungry for something. I'd also sort of let myself go at that point. So even though I was in the fitness space, I was feeling kind of like an imposter because my body fat percentage got up into the 20 percentile, which wasn't normal for me. Like I'm just normally quite active and as a result fairly lean. And so I was having that same sort of experience that you were having sitting in your car, and feeling things jiggle. And I remember selling them a bunch of equipment when they opened the facility. And so there was always this open invitation I could come in and try it.
Okay.
So I went in and I tried the first session. And the owner, Patty, took me through this, whatever they call it, their sort of introduction to CrossFit workout. And so you get one-on-one with the coach and they just take you through these short little workouts, which are more like fitness tests to figure out where you're starting from.
See where you're at, yeah.
There's a picture of me up against a chain link fence, dry heaving.
Yes.
And
I'm getting sweaty just talking about this, Dai. I'm telling you, man.
It was awesome because it was so humbling. Okay, Brian, I thought I was a pretty healthy guy. And there was just this instant shift where I was like, man, it wasn't even that much. I really didn't do that much today in this like 40 minutes that we were working together. And I'm absolutely knackered. And in fact, I don't think I've ever challenged myself to that level before. But realize what I was pushing myself to, somebody else that was just getting started that was leaner and a little bit fitter, they would have had a different experience.
Yeah.
But it was equally challenging for the two of us. I might have done a few less reps, but for me, it was just as hard based on my body type, my age, my gender. And so we have to keep in mind that that's the thing. It's highly individualized, even though it is a group program. You're there for yourself. And it's the community that was the piece that really solidified for me. I made some incredible friends. People were there cheering you on. They might finish the workout first, but they'd be coming to cheer on the people that weren't quite done yet. And I was like, this is awesome. It's just the camaraderie, you could cut it with a knife. And it was encouraging. There was all these different body types, genders, ethnicities. I was just like, this is where I want to hang out. And so it created this really positive emotional connection, psychological connection, which from a motivation and inspiration standpoint to keep going, especially from an accountability. I mean, if you get all that, just getting up in the morning and showing up is easier. It's just easier. Yeah. And that's what I did. I kept showing up. I've never seen my body, and I hadn't made any commitments to the nutrition change, just like yourself. But just because doing the workouts 4 or 5 days a week, going in, and that's like 4 to 5 hours in the gym, you're in and out in an hour in CrossFit. That's the typical. Yep. And within 4 months, my physique completely changed.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's serious work.
Yeah, well,
serious work.
It's fun though. It's like it is a lot of fun. It's constantly changing, and there's all body types. Welcome, and I just encourage people, give it a try. Like don't Google it. Don't watch the documentaries online. Save that for later. Just go in, have an experience, see what you think. But don't base your decision on just going to one. Like you might want to go around to a couple, and. Yeah, it's like I equate it to like Toastmasters, right? Toastmasters is a nonprofit.
Oh yeah,
It's great. Just it's a great program to help you improve as a speaker, but also as a leadership skills. And but it is a nonprofit, so it doesn't cost very much. It's also run by volunteers, so there's a certain quality, and each club will be slightly different. And I always say, just go around to a bunch of different ones until you find the one that you feel like you belong in. you know, and that's the same with CrossFit. Don't just join something just sake for joining it. You got to find a place that you feel like you belong.
Right.
And because when you find that, like, the likelihood of results happen just by you showing up and developing this new lifestyle because of the association, positive reinforcement, and as well as great coaching, you know? So yeah, it changed my life, man. And now, you know, I've been in it a long time. Like I said, 16 years now. And I love it. I just love it.
Cool. So what's next for you, Dai? You know, what's the next big thing you're eyeing up?
Well, for me, you know, on the professional side, I launched a podcast 11 weeks ago. And that's been a whole new journey for me. I absolutely love it. I'm enjoying the medium. It's called the 2% Solution. It's just based on my book that was published a number of years ago, and just gearing people on how to best use 30 minutes a day to see improvement physically, emotionally, spiritually, and psychologically. You know,
check it out. 2% Solution.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, man. And so that's been really fun. That's really what's been my main focus. And then I got a couple other side projects, a couple startups I'm just working with, and but, you know, to be honest, on the personal side, that's what's got me more excited is I'm getting back into doing, you know, Spartan races and tough mudders.
Oh, so you're a Spartan guy.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
I've been doing it in 2017. I want to get back to doing it again, but it was awesome. What a fun sport, right? Like, oh, it was so fun. Like, so it's interesting. I connected with a guy, and so his name is Chris Swanson. He's actually a sheriff in Michigan. He's actually kind of quasi famous now. He's a neat guy, super high energy guy, super fit dude. Look him up. I think you'll like him. Anyway, he challenged me. He said, Brian, you gotta commit to doing something that you know is going to be hard, but you got to commit. So he's like, what is it? He's like, it's got to be something competitive. It's got to be something you got to get after. I said, I've seen this Spartan thing. I've always wanted to do it. It looks awesome. He's like, okay, so go do it. Go sign up. I'm like, what? I'm like, I'm not ready. He's like, so pick a date and time 6 months out in advance. That's plenty of time. You're not in that bad of shape, and buy the ticket. Do it. Commit. Because if you don't, you won't. You'll let yourself slough off. I'm like, oh, because it's not crazy cheap, not crazy expensive, not crazy cheap. I'm like, okay. So I found one. It was a state where I had to travel to get there. Yeah. It was in Michigan. I was in Wisconsin, so I had to go under the lake. And yeah, I found a training program online for the Super Spartan, the 9 to 11 mile one. Yeah. Because I wasn't ready for the beast. I didn't think I was going to attack that one, but I didn't want to do the baby one. I'm like, I'm going that one. And yeah, I trained for 6 months, and just, it was awesome. And then it's crazy. I remember I cramped up. I hate drinking water and stuff while I'm and I'm a sprinter by nature, so I was never a long distance runner. I ran cross country once so my buddies would play football on the team because they were cross country guys. So I ran cross country. It sucked. Yeah. But so I don't like the feeling of being full of water. So I didn't drink almost the whole time doing this race. And at the last mile, I started to cramp up going up and down all these stairs. And then it was brutal at the end. I finished and I'm like up on my toes walking around, you know, but the next day I just felt this huge amount of fatigue. It was for a month I felt fatigued from that race, but it was cool.
That's amazing though. What a great experience, right? I mean, it completely shapes your perspective, you know, just on what's possible with your body, you know, and mind.
Talk about a cool group of people too. Like the vibe there at the event was awesome. I had my wife, my kids there with me, and they were a lot younger then, but the music is playing and they're dancing around and everybody's like, you know, fired up or exhausted at the same time. But you felt inspired and everybody was like positive. It was just good. It was a cool vibe.
That's the exact same vibe I get with CrossFit communities, you know? And so I like to remind people, because I think the two are very complementary. You know, it's like you do all this stuff in the gym, but it's nice to have something that you can do outside, you know, some sort of event-based, something that you have to train for. It gives you a little bit more intention with your showing up at the gym every day. And so I always like to have sort of that as my carrot for myself, you know, to keep me focused and accountable, really. Yeah. And, but it's just a fun thing to do.
How many Spartans have you done?
I think I've done 6 or 7 Spartans now.
That's cool.
And I've done 6 Tough Mudders. So, yeah. You know, they're both different. I mean, it's funny now, they're owned by the same company now, but,
are they really? I didn't know that.
So Tough Mudder, I guess when, during COVID, it hit some, let's just say they ran into some challenges. So Spartan acquired them.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's 2 in the one.
I got a buddy in church, and he's a Tough Mudder guy. He does them all the time. And
I directly at Spartan now.
Interesting.
So, yeah. And, but I do like Spartans because I like that they offer 5, 10, and then obviously the super, which is the beast. That's the equivalent. The beast is the equivalent distance is usually what a Tough Mudder is.
Okay.
So distance wise, but I like the fact that you can have the sprint, you can have the 10K.
Yep.
So just for people that are a bit more intimidated, because Tough Mudder is a big commitment. It's a half marathon. So, but it's very team orientated. That's the thing I love about Tough Mudder. It's all about the team. That's different
than the Spartan.
Correct. Yeah. Spartan's more individualistic. Even though you can still do it in teams, it's still all about what's your time. Like it's still, they want you to crush it, and so there is a little bit of nuance between the two, but I like both. It depends on how I'm feeling. Like if I'm bringing a big team, we had a team of just over 80 people come up with us to do the Whistler one, and I had a guy that was, a guy that had been in recovery from heroin for 20 years, with in his 60s, a bit overweight, and he has a prosthetic leg, and he was out there crushing it. And then we have guys down in like an 18-year-old marathoner, right, that just crushed it. And so it was neat to see this huge variety of people, but all coming together to support each other and have fun and experience something, and that's the stuff that gets me most excited in life, is just seeing all these different cross sections of people in different stages of life and how they can come together for one thing and just have a shared experience. I just think it's just awesome. It's
absolutely
makes me feel good about the world.
I bought throwing knives. I bought broomsticks and twine, and I created my own spears for that event because I didn't want to botch the spear event.
Don't want to do the burpees.
So I didn't want to do the burpees.
Yeah.
And I almost did the whole thing with no burpees.
Whoa, good for you.
The part that I didn't make is one of the last things I had to do was the rope climb.
Rope climb, yeah. It's a lot of technique for the rope climb because it gets so muddy and wet, right? So it's like if you don't have technique, it's hard. Yeah.
And I got 3/4 of the way and my arms started to cramp up. My hands got G.I. Joe grip, and it's slid right down. And ouch. Off to the burpees. Yep. Burpees of shame.
You only do one set of burpees. That's pretty darn good, though. That really
was my
good.
goal, and the training the whole time is I knew if you got to stop to do the burpees a lot, that's going to kill your time. So, but anyway,
that's great, man. I love it. So yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Right now, that's the stuff that's got me most excited. And then, it's just showing up for people. I really get a lot of value in that and helping men with just experiencing a little bit more clarity in life.
So I saw you. Are you still doing the Motivation Monday stuff? I saw some stuff online.
Yeah, so we put a bit of a pause because there's somebody else that's doing the online stuff. I'm just about to start up in person again, but that's how it initially started when we were living in Bali. Like we had this regular men's group that would meet every Monday. Yeah. And we called it Mentorship Mondays. And so I'm just getting one started again here in Vancouver because unfortunately COVID just sort of threw a lot of that out. And I was just sick and tired of doing stuff on Zoom, to be honest with you, especially during COVID. Oh, yeah. So I was like, I can't. Yeah. I had to let something go. And so I stopped doing the men's groups online. But I am excited to get back to that.
Cool. That sounded pretty neat. So anybody watching, go look that up. What was it again? It was
Mentorship Mondays. But if you look up my TEDx Mondays. Talk, Why Vulnerability is a Human Thing, or just look up Dai Manuel TED. There's the story there, how that all came to be. But I also talk about the story about the alcohol. My wife asking me the question. So if people want a bit more, that will go a little bit deeper for them.
Awesome. Well, they should look into what you're doing because it's awesome. On a high note, what's one of the neatest stories that you've come across, maybe people that you've got to spend some time with that you think would be fun to share with that maybe you've never shared before?
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I've met some neat people. Like I remember I was traveling a couple times and I like to do the CrossFit Open every year, which is sort of this global competition. I won't get into it, but even when I'm traveling, if I can't do it, the home workout at my home gym where I train, I'm going to go and do it at another club. And so I was in LA and I went to Bricks CrossFit in Hollywood, and they needed to pair me up with the judge. And I turn around and it's Bob Harper, Biggest Loser, Bob Harper. And I was like, you're Bob Harper. I was like total fanboying, because I was I appreciate what he did for the personal training industry, especially. I mean, I know there's some conflicting opinions and I have some very strong opinions about Biggest Loser. I don't endorse what they were doing. But I appreciate him and what he did for personal training, being a really positive face and brand for it. And so it was just neat being able to interact with him directly. And he was there judging me for that 20-minute workout, So that was actually really cool. It was just a fun experience. And it reminded me why, I love that kind of a community, but also it was fun, It was just a really neat experience.
I don't want to get back down that again. So I didn't know this about that. So in those kind of competitions, you have one-to-one judges judging your performance?
Yes.
To make sure you're doing them the right way or you're not cheating or something?
Yeah, it's because they have standards of movement. And so they want to make sure that everyone's at least honoring the same standard because they're going to compare your score globally to everybody else.
Okay.
So this is the preliminary.
That's the goalpost. That's the playing field, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And I love it because as a 45 plus guy now in that sort of what they call the master's class, I can see how do I compare to other guys between 45 to 49 around the world. They're doing the same workout that same week, and I can just compare. I can just see how do I measure up comparatively to the rest of the CrossFitting community that's in the 45 to 49 class. And so I really like that because it gives me a better understanding of my own benchmarks and what's possible for me. Like there's guys and I'm like, oh man, how do those guys do that? And it just inspires me to see some of these other guys just crushing it, it keeps me going.
What's the toughest event or what's the toughest, thing you have to do in CrossFit? What's the thing you dread the most?
I a lot of the gymnastics, I'm 215, 6'1", so I got a bit of weight on my bones and gymnastic movements,
6'1",
especially.
So you got to have some muscle mass there. Yeah.
Oh, I got lots of muscle mass, and but the rings are tough. Like for me, like I can do them, but I have to exert a lot of energy to do it.
Okay.
So, and handstand walking, I'm okay at it, but not great at it. So
that's handstand walking is one of the things. Wow.
Yeah. Well, as you get more advanced, they start to just make things a bit more challenging for you, Hey,
everybody. Thanks for watching one of the clips from the Business Line podcast. If you want to see the full episode, click up here.
And if you want to see more fun clips, click up here.